traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you with a tutorial on how we use the TTM squeeze Bollinger Band Keltner scan and how you can use it to find better setups and pull more money out of the market. Over the past several months, Mikey and I have developed a scan as one part of a system that we use to find better setups. In this case, what we do is look at a Bollinger Band TTM squeeze that picks up, in this case, 80 stocks that we further filter into stocks that are consolidating and shrinking in their volatility, which is visually represented as a Bollinger Band's tapering or squeezing. And then the scan looks for Bollinger Bands entering the Keltner channel overlaid during a predetermined time period. In this case, we have a setting of 3 days. So any stock whose Bollinger Bands enter the Keltner channel over the past 3 days, including today, is flagged as a candidate and displayed on the list like we see here. We ask for stocks that see MACD histogram trending in a bullish direction. So compared to yesterday's close, we want to see MACD histogram moving in a direction, in a positive direction, or bullish direction if we're bullish, and a negative direction if we're bearish. And if we look at a sample here, you can see where histogram is moving over a time frame. So let's take a look at a chart that we've been a stock that we've been trading recently. Let's take a look at DVA. We scroll down here, we can see histogram right here is positive over the last 3 days. It's trending up and it's about to cross the zero line in the near future. So we were looking for Bollinger Bands to be squeezing and for this to be setting up as part of the criteria. Next, we filter the scooter score by just clicking on this tab. That way we can rank these to see which stocks are performing the best. Scooter, SCTR, stands for Stock Charts Technical Rank, and it's ranked from 0 to 100, with 100 being the most highly desirable candidate in our criteria. And we usually set this to stocks that are greater than 70, more or less, depending on the size of the list. In this case, we had 80 names, so we might also scan this or filter this to those stocks above 80 and get a smaller list. But we can do that when we rank these. Then we take a look at the sectors to see what names are showing up in concert. Yesterday there were 3 or 4 names in the energy sector. I think 1 in the utility sector. We can see here there's about 10 in the utility sector and about 10 or 12 in the energy sector. So that's one of the things that we keep an eye on. Then we look for patterns. We want to see names like PDCE, PDC Energy, which is a name that we have traded since Monday. The Monday night or Sunday night scan we took on Monday. We broke higher on Tuesday and now we're resuming that trend and moving higher today. Note that the MACD is crossing, the histogram is positive, and then we have increased volume. So these are all the things that we are looking for. In no certain order, we also look for prices entering above a Kirby level like we see here. Okay, this Kirby is quite large and prices are moving above that after we've consolidated. Bollinger Bands are squeezing and are just now starting to expand. Then we filter the scan to look for stocks which closed above $10 per share because we don't really want to trade cheap stocks. We want to have lots of liquidity. As a preference in my scan, I also look for names that are optionable only. So what that means is I'm looking for stocks that I can trade options on. Though I can turn this off, this filter off if I decide that I want to have a larger list, which is not always necessary since most of these scans pick up quite a few names when we see days like we did today. Then we also look for stocks that are trading over 500,000 shares with today's close higher than yesterday's close. And in other words, we're looking for positive momentum with the close today higher than yesterday's close. Nuances, we watch direction of the Keltner channel. In this case, you see the Keltner channel is drifting slightly upward. So the way Keltner channels are derived, they're based on average true range and also on a moving average. So when the Keltner channel is moving higher, we're taking long trades only, and when the Keltner channel is moving lower, like you see here, the red lines, we're only taking shorts. Pair that with a box trade setup, which is like so. We only trade longs when the 10 period, the blue line, is above the 30 period, and we trade short when the 10 period is below the 30 period, as we see here. Mikey then goes on to check setups against IBD for EPS rank, further screening candidates with a higher EPS rank being a more desirable setup. Okay. Then we check for short percent and on finviz.com because that adds more fuel for a breakout. Because the patterns that we're typically looking at are flags, descending channels, and so forth. If you check Bukowski's site, he actually ranks the highest percentage breakouts on the upside as well as the downside, and he ranks each of the patterns and gives you probabilities. So we like to use those as well. Then we coordinate all of this with Scooter and EPS ranks and patterns and what's showing up on the scan in mass. In the case of our scan here, as we pointed out before, we see scans, the scan producing names in the utility sector. In this case, this is the 15th, the scan from last night, the 15th of April 2014. We had utilities, a few technology names, mostly energy and utilities. So rather than trying to focus on several different sectors, we're just focused on energy. Then what we do is we also take a look at, if you go to free charts here on stockcharts.com, go to sector ETFs, click on the bar chart here, double left click here, put in a 2, and then we rank this on the past 2 days, what trading has looked like. In this case, energy, utilities is the orange, healthcare is purple, and finance is red. This is just starting to turn red. Finance hasn't been that great lately. Change this to 5, you can see what has outperformed over the last 5 trading days. Lastly, we look for relative strength with these stock trades. In the case of some of these names here that we've been trading, we saw relative strength these past 3 days when the spiders were doing exactly the opposite. As you remember, we look for relative strength as the spiders are moving lower. Because once the spiders or the indices decide to move in the positive direction, most often these stocks will outperform the others. So we've been watching energy over the last 3 weeks. We've been trading this and focusing only on energy and lately on utilities. And then there's other little nuances like we watch for earnings beats and upgrades. What analysts are doing with their numbers. Are they increasing their views of the company over the last quarter? Does it seem to be a trend, and so forth? So this is the way we use the Bollinger Band scan, TTM squeeze. It's how you can use to pull up better trades and setups that are in sectors that are currently in play. And again, these stocks are in a consolidation pattern, so you want to be buying when these stocks are consolidating, like we saw here on Sunday and last Friday. Bollinger Bands then expand, and your trade is off to the races. Okay? I hope this helps. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. Please come check us out, and also check out our blog, which I post typically every night a scan of the current trades that we're looking at. This is the one for Wednesday night. You can subscribe here by clicking on this button, putting your email in, and submit. It's a free blog, so you get these trades for the most part every day. The last couple of days I haven't updated them because I was doing taxes. Okay, take care, and we'll talk to you later.